it's a crumb if you live in Pacific Heights or in Seacliff neighborhood of San Francisco and you're married to Paul Pelosi. Maybe then it's a crumb. But for most people, it's real money. And they say, by the way, that Trump doesn't have both oars in the water. Nancy's lost the oars and can't even find the water. She's so out of it.
Laura Ingraham last night blasting the House Minority Leader, Nancy Pelosi, after she called tax reform bonuses given American workers crumbs. They are mere crumbs, Leslie Marshall, syndicated radio host and Fox News contributor. Steve Hilton, host of the Next Revolution with Steve Hilton. How are you guys doing on a Friday? They are mere crumbs. I don't know, Leslie, if you're making 80 grand in Ohio and you're raising 4 kids and you're going to get $2,000 a year in your pocket, I think most Americans would take that. What do you say?
Well, I say we have to look at the net gain, okay? And that's what my accountant tells me. If you don't have the personal deductions that you have been able to take in the past, and you get some in February back, but it's not in the hundreds, and then you do a cross-reference as to how much you're losing as opposed to how much you're gaining, well, if you gain $50 or $75 in February, that's helpful. To some, that is crumbs, when later you actually, in a net, get less because you don't have those itemized deductions or personal deductions that you had in the past.
I got that.
So I don't think I think her wording is insensitive. I think her wording's insensitive, but I don't think she's really wrong.
Well, let him eat cake. Steve Hilton, what do you make of what appears to many to be a condescending remark about the state of the economy for many Americans, everyday folks?
It's so elitist, Bill. I mean, that's exactly what it is, condescending. And it doesn't recognize the fact that anything that's more money in your pocket is desperately needed after decades, literally decades, where for most working people, their incomes have been going down. And people are going to benefit from this tax bill, not just from the actual tax change, but from the impact it has on the overall economy. You're already seeing wages going up in a way that hasn't been seen literally for decades. But there's a broader political point here, which is that it's Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats are desperate for this tax reform to fail. Good news for the American worker is bad news for Democrats. So they're going to keep repeating this line about the tax bill not having any impact. But it doesn't matter what they say. The real impact will be felt by American workers in their pockets, regardless of these stupid comments.
It's an interesting point that Steve makes. Leslie, I don't see anybody giving that money back. If you can find that person, we'll put them on TV.
Well, certainly, and the working class has as many Democrats, if they do Republicans, perhaps even more. I don't agree with Steve. I'm a Democrat. I certainly want us to have a robust economy, no matter who is in the Oval Office, whether I voted for them or not, and I wouldn't give the money back. But the problem is, like I said, if I'm getting $50 in February, but then later in the year, I'm actually having to pay more because of the tax code. And let's not just dismiss how confusing this is. This was supposed to be more simplistic. So will those people really get it back? You do some things easier online, then for others you revert back to the old form.
I'm telling young Americans, if you got an idea for a small business, start it, because you're going to make a lot of money down the road because of this tax plan. Now, on London, quickly on screen from the tweet, reason I canceled my trip to London is that I'm not a big fan of the Obama administration, having sold perhaps the best located and finest embassy in London for peanuts, only to build a new one in an off location for $1.2 billion. Bad deal. Wanted me to cut ribbon. No. So he will not go, Steve, although I think the decision was made by Bush 43. What is the state of our relationship with London at this point?
Look, first of all, I'm very happily living in California now, Bill, so I'm not an expert on the latest moves in the London property market. Okay. So whatever the real reason, I think that it's a very good idea for the president not to go, because at the moment, whatever the relationship between Theresa May and the president, and I think basically you have a few ups and downs over the odd tweet, but it's a strong relationship that will endure. He's really unpopular with British people, and if the president went to London at this point, all it would be an excuse for a huge demonstration. It wouldn't really do any good, and so I think he's very smart to stay away.
Leslie, you got a thought on that?
He loves big crowds, though, Steve. You know, maybe he should go just for that. No, I'm just kidding. Look, I'm not British, and I don't have the lovely accent that Steve and so many others have from the UK. But no, he's not liked. Everything I heard and saw on the media this morning over the pond was, we hate the bloke. And they do. But I don't agree with Steve. I think actually that's one of the reasons he should go, because some people say he in person is charming. I don't know. I haven't met the president in person. And also because he said some very disparaging things about London's mayor, who also happens to be a Muslim. I think this would be an opportunity for the president to take the high road and to show that perhaps some of his tweets or that his bark is not as bad as his
For now,
bite.
it's been rescheduled. Leslie, have a great weekend, okay? Steve Hilton, Leslie Marshall there.
You
Thanks
too.
to both of you. Nice to have you on, Sandra.